So I would say none of these 4 video generators are perfect, and note that I'm testing them on a series of very tricky prompts that I would not expect them to get 100% correct. Alright, next up, I'm going to test if it can generate anime-style videos. So here's a really simple prompt. The prompt is a girl wearing a kimono walking in the streets of Kyoto, anime style. Let's click generate and see what that gives us. Let me tell you about this awesome tool called ChatLLM by our sponsor Abacus AI. This allows you to use the best AI models out there all in one integrated platform. This includes the latest O1 Preview, O1 Mini, as well as other state-of-the-art models like GPT-4o and Claude Sonnet 3.5. Plus, they have a new Route LLM feature, which automatically picks the best LLM to use based on your prompt. They also have a Search LLM feature, which searches the web to find the latest and most accurate information for you. You can also generate images right from the chatbot, and they're using the best generator out there, Flux Pro. Plus, you can even generate videos with a single prompt. How cool is that? Plus, it has a really cool artifacts feature, so if you're coding or building something with it, it allows you to view and interact with the app side by side. You can also drag and drop PDFs and documents into here for it to analyze. This is great for generating reports and analyzing data easily. They also have a new feature called AI Engineer, which allows you to create your own custom chatbot fine-tuned on your own custom data or instructions. This is just a really powerful and versatile way for you to use the best AI models out there all in one platform. Try it out via the link in the description below. Alright, here's what we got from Genmo. This is kind of anime style, I guess, and you can see this is a common issue in a lot of video generators, including proprietary video generators, where if you have a lot of people in the scene, they are not very consistent. The edges of the people, the limbs, the faces, they warp and shape over time, and it's just clearly AI generated. Now, this does look like an anime scene. This is a street in Tokyo, and there is a girl wearing a kimono walking in the middle, so I'll give it points for that. However, the way she walks is really weird. I don't know why the kimono is blowing in the wind like that. I mean, this is just a very weird, uncanny video. And here's what we got from Allegro. This is even more uncanny. So this is a girl. She is wearing a kimono. She's definitely not walking in the streets of Kyoto. She's just standing there and talking. It is anime style though, so I would give it some points for that, but it definitely is not perfect or usable. And then for your reference, here is the same prompt with Kling and Minimax. Now, as you can see, Minimax can also not really generate anime style videos very well. I would say the best model for this type of anime style prompt would be Kling. Alright, next up, the prompt is a woman who is very sad and distressed. Her eyes are red and teary. Her facial expression conveys sadness and emotional pain. This is to really test out if these open source generators could create characters with these intense expressions on their faces. So this is clearly a very sad scene. Let's see if it can generate a really sad woman. Alright, this is what we get. This is just a woman looking out the window. She doesn't look very sad or distressed. Her eyes aren't really red and teary. She is not conveying any sadness or emotional pain. So I would say it's not very good at creating these more extreme expressions. However, if you do generate just a woman looking out the window, then this is a perfect video. And on that note, keep in mind that I'm testing these models on a series of very tricky prompts that I do not expect them to get correctly. I'm sure if you generate a simple video of like a portrait of a man or a woman looking out the window, then all 4 video generators could generate this very well. But in this video, I'm really trying to test out its limits. And oh my god, this is what we got from Allegro. I don't know why she has so much blood on her face, but blood aside, I mean, this does look like a woman who is very sad and distressed. You can't really see her eyes since they are closed, so it kind of ignored the part of my prompt where I specified for it to be red and teary, but I mean, her expression does convey sadness and emotional pain. So in terms of expressive faces, this, I think Allegro actually does better than Genmo. However, this blood on her face, which I clearly did not specify in the prompt, is kind of disturbing. Anyways, here are all 4 video models side by side. You can see for the proprietary ones, Kling and Minimax, they handle expressions a lot better. You can see for both Kling and Minimax, the woman in the video is very sad, clearly sadder than the open source models at the top. Alright, next prompt is even trickier. So this one is a point of view shot of a soldier running through a war-torn city, rifle in hand. The camera moves quickly as explosions occur nearby, throwing up debris. The view dips and swings as the soldier takes cover and fires back at the enemy. Let's click generate and see if Machi can pull this off. Alright, here's what we got from Machi. You can see it's kind of ignoring most of the prompt. Yes, this is a soldier. This does look like a very realistic war scene, and he does have a rifle in his hand. However, there is no action going on at all. In the prompt I specified for the camera to move very quickly, and this should be a point of view shot of the soldier, not just a regular portrait shot of this soldier. And there should be explosions occurring nearby, there should be debris flying everywhere, the view should dip and swing as the soldier takes cover, but I'm seeing none of that in this video. So again, for just simple portrait or mid-shot videos of a character standing still with minimal motion, then Genmo handles it perfectly. But as soon as you enter in some higher action scenes, it doesn't seem to be able to pull it off. And then here's what we got from Allegro. And in terms of higher action, higher movements, and actually following the prompt, I would say this does better than Genmo. This is a point of view shot of a soldier. He is running through a war-torn city with a rifle in hand. And there are explosions occurring nearby. It's throwing up debris in the air. This is pretty good. It does follow my prompt. However, of course, with such a high action scene for an open source model, there's a lot of hallucinations. The way the soldier runs is not very accurate. There's suddenly another soldier that kind of appears from nowhere. There's also a rifle coming out of his butt. There's just a lot of errors and uncanny stuff going on. And then for your reference, here are the proprietary models, Kling and Minimax, with the same prompt. So you can see both of them handled this prompt a lot better than the open source models. Both of them could handle this high action scene of a soldier running around, taking cover, with explosions and debris flying everywhere. So in terms of high action scenes like this one, it seems like the closed source models are still way better. Alright, next one, horror film, a swarm of zombies attacking people at a metro station, shaky camera. Let's see if Genmo can pull this off. Alright, here's what we got. I don't know, this doesn't really look like a metro station. The main character kind of walks out of the scene and then he reappears in the background, which is kind of weird. It seems like those are zombies in the background, so I'll give it a point for that. And this does look like a scene from a horror film. And then here's what we got from Allegro. I actually like this scene a lot better. This is a metro station, and there's clearly a swarm of zombies in the background. They're not really attacking people, it's not really a shaky camera, they're just casually walking around. So I don't know what's going on here, and as soon as you have multiple characters in a scene, you're gonna get a lot of warping and hallucinations, and this applies to the best closed source models out there as well. But overall, for an open source video generator, this scene is not bad. Again, none of the older open source models could pull this off. And then for your reference, here's the same prompt with Kling and Minimax. Even Kling and Minimax do not pull this off perfectly. There's some clear hallucinations, but in terms of handling higher action scenes, again, I would have to give the point to the closed source models. It seems like the open source ones are still a step behind. Alright, next prompt, this should be fairly easy. So it's a young boy standing in a war-torn environment. His facial expression shows fear and despair. The background is filled with destruction, fire, and debris. So a fairly simple mid-shot or portrait shot of this boy. There's no high action movements in the scene. Let's see if it can pull it off. Alright, here's what we got from Genmo, and this is pretty good. Now, I did specify that his facial expression should show fear and despair, which I'm not really seeing here. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think this boy looks scared? But anyways, the background is filled with destruction, fire, and debris. I mean, for these relatively lower motion scenes, you can see how this video could be straight from a movie. And this is open source and free and unlimited. So, I mean, pretty soon, anyone can just create a film without any actors, without any cameras. They can just create an entire film from a computer in their home. Anyways, here's what we got from Allegro. And you can see this generation is also not bad. So this is a boy standing in a war-torn environment. There is fire and debris in the background, and his face kind of shows fear and despair. I don't know about you, but it seems like his head is way too big for his body. Let me know in the comments if you think so as well. But this is actually pretty good. I would say, again, Allegro seems to handle expressions better than Machi 1. And then for your reference, here's the same prompt with Kling and Minimax. So with a relatively simple prompt like this, with low motion, all four of them actually handle it very well. I would say Genmo's Machi 1 is the worst here because it actually couldn't generate expressions, but Allegro did pretty well. This is up there with Kling and Minimax. Alright, next let's test out some higher action destruction scenes. So here we have a colossal sea monster rises from a stormy ocean, its massive tentacles wrapping onto a sinking ship. Let's see what we get from Genmo. Alright, here's what we get from Genmo. Oh my god. This is a wicked scene. This is so cool. This totally follows my prompt. There is a ship in a stormy ocean, and then suddenly this massive colossal sea monster with tentacles wrap onto this ship. This is a perfect scene, and I think it even outperforms Kling and Minimax. Alright, here's what we got from Allegro. It's not a stormy ocean. I don't really see a ship anywhere. It's just a sea monster chilling in the middle of the ocean. So that's a fail. And then here's the same prompt with Kling and Minimax. I would say Kling handles it slightly better. Again, none of them are perfect, but I would say I'm really impressed by Genmo's generation. In terms of prompt following and quality, I would say Genmo's Mochi 1 is the winner in this case. Alright, the next crazy scene. A massive, evil panda looming across the city, destroying buildings, terrified people, run away in all directions, high action. Let's see if Mochi can pull it off. Alright, here's what we get. This is very impressive. This is indeed a high action scene. There are terrified people running away in all directions, and there is a massive evil panda. However, the panda kind of trips and then falls backwards, which is kind of embarrassing. But I mean, this is super impressive for an open source video generator. None of the older open source models even come close to this. And then here's what we got from Allegro. This is a lot slower in motion, and whoa, that's interesting. Somehow it transitioned to a second scene right in the middle of the video, even though that was not specified in the prompt. And it seems like the people aren't really terrified. They're not running away in all directions. So if I just compare Mochi with Allegro, I would say Mochi 1 definitely handles higher action videos a lot better than Allegro. But in terms of the quality and color and tone of the video, I would say Allegro is a lot better. You can see the humans look a lot sharper, a lot more detailed. Same with the buildings in the background. The details look a lot sharper than what we got from Mochi. And then for your comparison, here are all 4 video models side by side. I would say Kling is the winner here. I mean, Kling's generation is just very realistic, very high action. This is very impressive. But that being said, Genmo's generation is actually not far off. I really like the high action scene. I really like how there are tons of terrified people running in all directions. This is very impressive for an open source video generator. Alright, final prompt. Let's test out Japanese anime again, but it's going to be a fight scene. And so far, I have not encountered any video generator that could pull this off, including Kling and Minimax. So the prompt is Japanese anime style, a girl wearing a kimono fighting a demon, epic battle. Let's see what Mochi gives us. Alright, here's what we got from Mochi. This, as you can see, is definitely not an anime style video. This looks very realistic. There is a girl wearing a kimono, and there is a demon in the foreground, but they're not really fighting. And then she's kind of holding a sword, but not really, so everything is just kind of off. This isn't a really usable video, and it's definitely not an epic battle. And then here's what we got from Allegro. Very interesting. You can see there are even subtitles at the bottom of the video, which resemble Chinese, but they're not actually real characters. And at least this woman is pointing a sword at the demon, so extra points for that. If you compare it with all 4 video models, you can see that even Kling and Minimax, they can't actually get the girl to fight the demon. So for this prompt, I can't even pick a winner. I mean, all 4 of these do not really follow the prompt or generate a really good video. So that wraps up my comparison and testing of both Genmo's Mochi 1 and Rhyme's Allegro. I hope that gives you a sense of what it can and cannot do, but I would say both of these are by far the best open source video generators that you can use right now. Before this, we have Cog Video and OpenSora, and I mean, they're decent, but I would say a bit behind Mochi 1 and Allegro. And you know, the awesome thing about both Mochi 1 and Allegro is not only can you use them in their online platforms, which I showed you in this video, but if you have a good enough GPU, you could actually download this and run it locally for unlimited times for free on your computer. So both of them have released the model weights on GitHub, and this is under the Apache 2 license, which has very few restrictions. You're basically free to use and modify this however you want, plus you can even use this for commercial purposes. So I'll link to their GitHub pages in the description below as well. Note that for the Mochi 1 GitHub, do not download the original repo, because this one requires at least 4 H100 GPUs to run. I mean, who on earth has 4 H100 GPUs lying in their house? Anyways, fortunately, someone made a much more efficient version, which is actually a node in Comfy UI, and this can run in under 20 gigabytes of VRAM. In fact, some people have reported to successfully run this on just 12 gigabytes. So I'll link to this GitHub page as well for you to download. Definitely use this one and not the official one. And then for Rhymes, same thing. They have a GitHub repo. This is under the Apache 2 license, and you can find the installation instructions down here. Now, the minimum VRAM requirement for this is around 9.3 gigabytes if you turn on this CPU offload function. If you don't turn this on, then you're going to need around 27 gigabytes of VRAM. However, this is really slow. I've heard that it takes like 40 minutes to an hour to generate just a 6-second video, so keep that in mind. Anyways, that sums up my review and testing of these 2 open source video models.